Sensational jumping from the Istanbul Sultans, somewhat of a surprise, who now find themselves as the best of the teams on 4 penalties. And it gives them the overnight lead. It puts them in pole position for Super Saturday tomorrow. And it gives them a golden opportunity to make up some serious ground on the overall championship standings as they try and move further and further away from the bottom part of the table. Omar Karaevli, absolutely great, despite a single rail going down. And you talk about strong performances. Andre Americo Di Miranda jumping clear today on his debut for the Sultans. It will be a performance that he and the team will remember. We'll look back on GCL Round 1 next here on GCTV.
Les guettes V22 sont conçus à partir de néoprène non toxique, à séchage rapide, durable et résistant, offrant soutien et protection optimale à mes chevaux. Avec V22, je donne la meilleure protection à mes chevaux. Et cela m'amène de la confiance pour augmenter ma performance.
Lamisil. The future is green.
Welcome back to GCTV, the end of Global Champions League Round 1 action. And as it stands, the Istanbul Sultans are the fastest of the teams on 4 penalties. They lead the Paris Panthers and the Berlin Eagles by time, and now will go into the GCL second round tomorrow as the very last team to come out the gate. What an impressive performance from them, and a rather unique position that they find themselves in. How will they then deal with this going into tonight's decision-making time with the rest of the team? Andre Americo Di Miranda jumping clear today on debut on Hillfinger, doing very well to set the team up for a really good finish. Omar Karaevli was the man that then followed, who thought that they produced the only double clear of the team. But then we see that final rail going down, that final fence going down for Omar Karaevli. Despite his 4 penalties, they do still lead at the end of the night and will be very happy with this position. Now, Paris Panthers find themselves in second place. And we heard on Team Talk a conversation between Ben Meyer and Frederik de Backer, where the confession was made that the Paris Panthers are no longer chasing the championship based on the poor start to the season. But they are eyeing out the GC playoffs in Prague later on this year and will know that good performances like they put in Stockholm will be able to boost them higher up the table. Gregory Watley, an ace of hearts, was the first man out the gate. And then Ben Meyer followed on Feltic HB. No explosion like we saw in Stockholm. Feltic HB has produced really good results already in 2022. And once again, jumps are clear for Ben Meyer to keep the Paris Panthers just behind the Istanbul Sultans on a score of 4. Berlin Eagles, your once championship leaders, wanted to try and keep the pressure on, because we know that they need to try and bounce back and make up ground on the Stockholm Hearts powered by H&M. Well, Berlin Eagles, powered by Fundis Reichsport, Christian Kuckuck and Simal, first man out. And what a clear on a 9-year-old chestnut. Incredible performance from Christian Kuckuck. And then Owen McMahon jumping a score of 4 penalties on Chakra. And they then find themselves one of the top 3 teams to try and keep the pressure on the rest of the field tomorrow. Now, I believe that Gregory Watley is standing by for us to have a conversation. Gregory, thank you for joining us here on GCTV. How are the Paris Panthers feeling going into the second round, Gregory?
Yeah, it's good. We are feeling good. We did a very good run. Ben did a super job. My horse, it was a bit a surprise for him to jump straight that big class, but he did very well.
Gregory, what was your take on the course? Very difficult, it seems. Only 6 clears. A lot of talking about the slope. How difficult was it for you?
Yeah, everything comes quick out of the turns. Is many lines, right, left. We need to be focused. It's more like an indoor show. Didn't expect gonna be so difficult, but at the end we can see also with the uphill and downhill that it's not so easy to keep the balance from the beginning until the end with the horses.
We are hoping that the Paris Panthers will make a good performance in the second round. Are there any changes? Has there been a discussion as to what might happen tomorrow?
We still have to talk with Rob, but I think Dara will get in tomorrow and then they're going to do the team with Ben. That's the plan.
All right, Gregory Watley, thank you very much for your time. Jumping 4 penalties today. We saw Ben Mayer jumping clear to keep the Paris Panthers on a score of 4. And as Gregory Watley suggests, perhaps Dara Kenny coming into the mix tomorrow for the second round of Global Champions League, who will then jump alongside Ben Mayer. Again, a really strong lineup potentially for the Paris Panthers tomorrow. And if they were to perhaps jump 4 and clear, or even a double clear, they could very well find themselves in the mix and once again try and put on some pressure and get onto the podium, and then all of a sudden start making up some championship ground and eyeing out those GC playoffs in Prague later on this year. So there's the Istanbul Sultans, the Paris Panthers, and now the Berlin Eagles. How does Christian Kuckuck feel following their fast fall?
Very good, actually. I'm happy with our performance. 4 points, still in second place. We can be happy.
So zooming in on your performance, debut of the horse.
Yeah, very happy with my horse today. I was putting myself a bit under pressure. It was the first time he ever jumped a team class. I had a good feeling over the last week, so I said, okay, I go to Paris and I try with him. And I'm very happy now that he did so good today. We started with a clear round. That gives us a good feeling for tomorrow. But there's still one more day to come. A new challenge tomorrow will be anyway tough enough for him, but hopefully we can manage it good enough like today.
So not a lot of clears. What's the reason for that, in your opinion?
Well, I think the size of the arena is like an indoor a little bit, so it makes it quite tactical and difficult anyway for the horses. And then we have a few bending lines, big enough fences, light enough fences. So yeah, I think that's always a reason to have falls. And yeah, like we see today, we have enough falls.
So you are with Berlin Eagles in top 3 now. A few teams to go. In what way the championship is in your mind?
In a big way. Yeah, we were not happy to lose the lead actually in last week in Stockholm, and we came very motivated here, Owen and me, to Paris, and we definitely want to fight to get the lead back, and the championship is in the back of our head, and we will give everything for that.
They were not happy to lose the championship straight out of the mouth of Christian Kuckuck, who then watched them relinquish the lead in Stockholm last weekend. Can the Paris Panthers put in a strong performance the Berlin Eagles, I beg your pardon, put in a strong performance this weekend to try and make up ground? Need I remind you that Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, are on a score of 12 penalties, and the Shanghai Swans, so much spoken about them, find themselves on a score of 16. So a good weekend for the Berlin Eagles to try and cash in. Christian Kuckuck wants that championship lead back. I doubt it will happen by the end of this weekend based on the points difference, but they can make up some real ground on the championship leaders. Now, Hamburg Giants, as we mentioned, the build-up to the show and during the live commentary as well, still reeling from the big news this week that Bart Bless has now been suspended from show jumping following the use of a banned substance. It means that they needed to psychologically and physically try and put it all behind them. Gert Friedling on Fiumicino First man out the team for the Hamburg Giants, picked up 4 penalties, and then an under-25 rider on Cassini on debut, making sure that she then jumps a score of 4 as the Hamburg Giants now find themselves on a score of 8 overnight. And as they now move to 6th on the overall championship standings, they will know that, again, there are points to be made here, especially bearing in mind the fact that Hearts and Swans find themselves in a spot of bother. Now, the defending champions, Valkenswaard United, coming out today, hoping to try and continue a wonderful wave of momentum that they've been enjoying over the last couple of weeks. Edwina Tops-Alexander and John Whittaker, the 2 riders selected for GCL Round 1. Fellow Casterfield, the 12-year-old babe for Tops-Alexander, jumping 4 penalties. John Whittaker on Equine America Unique de Frankfurt, jumping 4 as well. It takes Valkenswaard United to a score of 8 penalties and takes them just slightly out of the mix. They are one of these 7 teams on 8, 3 teams on 4, and only 6 clears at the end of GCL Round 1. I wonder, in the build-up to tomorrow's show, what numbers Frederick will be able to tell us as to how 6 clears in a stage fares compared to the rest of the season. Now, Madrid in motion, big talking point as well this weekend as we look to try and bring themselves into the mix with Eric van der Vleuten and Mark McCauley. On Dreamland, the veteran delivered a score of 8 penalties, not the ideal start for the team on his 11-year-old chestnut. Mark McCauley, however, put together a sensational performance, a lovely clear. I remind you, only 6 clears throughout the day. Mark McCauley picking up 1 of them on Lady Amaro. Clear for McCauley, 8 for Eric van der Vleuten. And Madrid in motion now find themselves on a score of 8 penalties. Prague Lions, we mentioned and labelled them as one of the dangerous teams to look out for this weekend. Sergio Alvarez Moya, an LGCT Grand Prix winner last year, now on that LGCT Grand Prix winning horse, delivering 8 penalties for the Prague Lions, leaving not too much room for error for Brian Mogre on Viva la Rêve. Living the dream, Brian Mogre, who now delivers a clear, keeping the team somewhat in contention. Prague Lions now again on a score of 8, one of those 7 teams that find themselves on a score of 8. How clean can they be in GCL Round 2 to try and keep themselves in the mix? The Shanghai Swans in real trouble on a score of 16. So much excitement around Marlon Zanotelli coming into the team as one of the big mid-season transfers. Jean Sadran was the first rider for the team to come through. She recorded 8 penalties, and then Marlon Zanotelli on Cartauro picked up 8 as well. It takes the Shanghai Swans to an overall score of 16 penalties, and it does put their top 4 position under threat. They are looking to stay in the top 4. And in fact, with the acquisitions that they've made now mid-season in Zanotelli and Martin Fuchs, we were describing them as real championship contenders. However, on an overnight score of 16, they will not be making up too much ground on the rest. Although bear in mind that Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, are on a score of 12. So just 4 penalties separating the Shanghai Swans and Stockholm Hearts. Will that gap then change come tomorrow's Super Saturday? How do the tables look? How does it stand at the end of GCL Round 1? Somewhat of a surprise, but an outstanding performance from the Istanbul Sultans, the fastest of the 3 fours to finish ahead of Paris Panthers and Berlin Eagles. As we mentioned, 7 teams on a score of 8. Only 6 clears today. Hamburg Giants, Miami, Valkenswaard, Madrid in motion, and Prague Lions making up the top half of the table. And then, as we said, the strange scorelines for Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, for the Shanghai Swans in 16, on 14 rather, in 14th, on 16, I beg your pardon. Rome Gladiators and Scandinavian Vikings having a tough day as well in the office. We will see if we can try and squeeze in a conversation with Marlon Zanotelli to find out how he is feeling after that rather disappointing opening performance for his new team.
No, definitely not a good start. Yeah, my horse got a little bit spooky there in the corner, like Van An did as well. I thought I had a good distance and got away from me. Then the second fault, actually, I didn't really understand. I have to see the video from you guys from the TV, because my angle from the camera here, I don't see it so well. He was jumping very good. He gave me a good feeling all around. Was this miscommunication 2 times. Hopefully for Sunday we have it better.
So zooming in on the global champions fence, why did it went wrong?
He didn't really look to the fence. When I came around the corner, I had a distance, and then he spooked a little bit, not focused on the fence, but on the side of the ring, and lost focus, and then the distance got away from me. And definitely, I should have noticed before to make sure that didn't happen. But yeah, he jumped well for the rest, so I'm happy with him.
So overall conclusion?
Yeah, it's a bad day for us, not what we expected. We still fight for tomorrow and see where that brings us.
Bad day for the Shanghai Swans. Marlon Donatelli jumping with 8 faults, 8 penalties. Jean Sandron with 8 penalties herself. Perhaps unlikely that the Shanghai Swans will now remain inside the top 4 on the overall championship standings. But that is where we wrap it up and say goodnight tonight. That is where we then get ready for GCL Round 2. Super Saturday, of course, will include the LGCT Grand Prix of Paris as well. So stay with us on GCTV for more, for a brand new episode of Team Talk as well. And we'll see you again for Super Saturday tomorrow. Good night.